So as we come to the end of the show, what do you have for baristas out there? Because like we said earlier, you won't be a barista at 70. Okay, what can these baristas do to make themselves more relevant in the coffee chain and the coffee process, and also more relevant for their lives going ahead?
Okay. I usually meet baristas and I'll tell them you're going to be active for 10 years maximum. You know, if you stretch it, 20 years. But you can, graduate yourself first. You've learned barista, basic barista, add more skills, but also advance to maybe quality control. Because if you do R or Q grading, then you can get a job in a private farm or a coffee exporting or a coffee processing farm. That's one plus. Another thing, if you're a barista who has a background in agriculture, you can work backwards, switching back to your profession. It's going to be good if you applied for a job, let's say quality control, and you're a barista, you have studied R or Q, and you also know some coffee agronomy. Definitely they will take you. Also, you're going to be better than someone who has studied quality control but is not a barista, because every employee wants a bigger package of you at the same price. So the thing is, if you're a barista, you're 40 years, you've overstretched to maybe 40, 45, at least learn Q or R. UCD has free, these are free courses. I'm not speaking for UCD, but they are free. R and Q grading, they are free. You stand a chance to get a job in the coffee industry, in growing or processing farm. But another thing, we have some people we are with who have a background in agriculture or biotechnology. I know some who have switched back to research. And again, they stand a higher chance. Because if I applied for a job with a counterpart who is just an agriculture expert, but I'm also a barista expert, I know some basic of quality control, then I stand higher chances. And I'm going to get a job. I know guys who have done that. Done barista, then switched back to research. And they're doing amazing things. Because also the researchers don't know how good coffee is. They are preparing it, but then they don't know that you can make a mocha, latte, and you can make all these variations. It's also helping the research industry. When I was still in coffee research, as an intern, our director by then banished instant coffee. He was a new director. He was like, guys, we are a coffee research institute. Why are we taking instant coffee? Like, come on, guys. And not just instant coffee, imported instant coffee. Dude, you people should be taking the best coffee because you make it. You've earned it. Now, they have an espresso machine, they brew, they're enjoying. You see? But to bring that vibe, it takes someone who understands coffee beyond the bean to bring that vibe. Now they're happy people. They're like, man, I didn't know that my variety tastes this good. Because most probably the guy has made the variety and has not been drinking it. So that's the vibe. And I know guys who are changing, the research world also. They are baristas. They have gone back to research. The baristas, but they have gone into, because even private companies want researchers. They want agronomists. The whole thing is, if you have gone into the coffee industry, you may not understand everything, but try to understand the basics of coffee from the seedling beyond the bean. Even the market metrics. Especially the market metrics. It's important to understand the market dynamics. The biggest thing in the market dynamics right now, Brazil was hit bad by hailstorms and frost. It's a plus to us.
It gives us an opportunity
it's an opportunity for us.
Slide in there somewhere.
The smart guy, when Brazil was hit by frost, should have bought more coffee. Because actually there's a coffee crisis. So projected that 3 years from now, there's going to be a coffee crisis. If you can buy coffee, buy it as much as you can, because it's going to be high. Sorry for the Brazilians.
It is about that time for the coffee break. A very good morning wherever you're watching us from. How have you been? How's been your week? I always say Monday to Friday is always a stressing way because you get to do a lot of things over there. And the only time you have to rest is a Saturday and a Sunday. And as House of Talent Television, always we got you covered on a Saturday morning like this from the hour of 11 to the hour of noon, you know. We get to bring you a break so that we can talk to you, get to know how you've been doing, like health-wise, in terms of drinking coffee, you know, and then discuss a lot about many things related to coffee. This is the Coffee Break Show. My name is Amon Mukisa, and today many of you have been asking us questions about coffee. What are the health benefits of coffee? What are the side effects of coffee? If I take this happens to be. If I drink coffee, this happens to be. Sometime back, I had a friend of mine called Fari. Fari used to tell me, I mean, you know what? Whenever I drink coffee, just a slight taste of coffee like this, I get headache. He's a guy. So I've been having such comments and questions coming through. And today on the show, we have a senior barista known as Micheal Wokorach. He's a Uganda barista champion. We've hosted him before on the show. And we're starting to talk about the things related to health benefits of coffee, and time cut us off. I was like, you know what, Micheal, let's get a full show and talk about the importance of drinking coffee. What happens and how it happens when I drink this coffee is what we're going to delve into today. Hey, Micheal.
Yes, brother.
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for hosting me once more.
How's your week?
Has been hectic, but yeah.
But with coffee, I think you just jump-started.
Yeah, you know, I take coffee.
You maneuver around it.
Yeah.
Well, Micheal, you remember as we're ending last time's show, 2 weeks ago,
yeah,
you know how time is flying?
Yeah.
Like, we're talking before off air, and you're like, man, weeks are flying, you know? You know, people were asking you, like, what are the importances of taking coffee? But before we get into that, we were like, let's make this coffee here together, and we got to know, like, what involves into taking the coffee, you know, so that the viewers who are going to watch us know the kind of coffee we're going to talk about. Today on the show, we're going just to brew like locally coffee. We're not going to have any equipment like a French press, AeroPress, siphon, chemics, no. Just like the way you do it at home, just a spoon of coffee, water, and a cup. We have our coffee, right?
Yes.
So let's do that, and then people can know like which type of coffee or which coffee are we speaking about. Is that right?
Okay,
Yeah.
so normally how we actually brew coffee at home, we don't need a lot of things. We don't need a lot of gadgets. All we need is, I think, it's only coffee.
It's only coffee.
Yeah.
I need my bag also.
Yeah, that is compulsory.
How about water?
Yes, even water is compulsory, you know. But you just heat it to the right temperature, and then just your ground coffee. That's enough.
Okay.
So this is one of the ways we actually make coffee at home. I just open my coffee. I grinded it freshly. You can smell it is.
Yeah, it's really fresh.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
So how we actually make it, I could just take on this spoon. It's roughly, I think, 14 grams.
Yeah.
But I may do less. We don't need like too much caffeine.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't really have a lot that we're going to do that's going to keep us.
Yeah, waiting.
Yeah,
so, but how do I get my coffee like? To be honest, I haven't taken coffee like this.
Sure.
How do I get my grounds like not come on top?
Yeah, it's going to come on top.
And on my teeth all over.
No.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't happen?
So let me teach you. So what you do is you pour your coffee, then you just brew normally. So after brewing, you're going to leave it for 2 minutes. So this coffee is going to settle. It's going to settle.
Okay.
With that cake on top. Then afterwards, we just get a spoon, stir. This cake on top will just
It
get
will just get down, eh?
Then we just take
really
our coffee.
is
Yeah.
okay. So this is what happens like when I just take coffee after pouring water.
Yeah.
Because I'm just going to take all this, you know, like the grounds on top.
No. The grounds will automatically
sink down.
just sink down.
Yeah, okay. As we wait our coffee like to brew like for 2 minutes,
Yeah.
and the grounds will sink down. Let's have a conversation about coffee.
Yeah, sure.
Coffee is made of different components.
Yes.
As a bean.
Yes.
What are some of the components that make this coffee?
Now we have several components, and one of those components we have. They are divided into actually two, I think. We have the nutrients and then the bioactive compounds. Now, when we start with the nutrients, me personally, I keep telling people that coffee is food. It's a complete meal. Now, when you look at the micronutrients in coffee, we have food that we keep eating every day, carbohydrates. They are in there in terms of sugars, okay? We could break them down into sucrose, glucose, fructose. They are all in this. When you come to to fat, sometimes we call them lipids. They are in here, okay? Fatty acids. When you come to proteins, they are also in here in terms of amino acids. So you realize that it's actually a complete meal. Then when you go to the micronutrients, we have the minerals. Let me give an example. One of the most common minerals that we have like vitamin. From vitamin B, vitamin C, the ascorbic acid, vitamin E, tocopherol, there are really very many vitamins, but they're all in coffee. When you look at the most serious vitamins like the Bs, vitamin Bs, we have, I don't know whether you've heard about vitamin B1, thiamine. It really has a very uniqueness in our body. Its deficiency has some great impact to us. When you look at vitamin B2, that is like riboflavin, is also one of the major compounds. But I think besides all that, there is one big nutrient that is vitamin B3. It's called niacin.
Well, as we talk about all these nutrients and vitamins that are in this coffee, to a local person watching over there,
Yeah.
how does he know that these vitamins or these minerals are in this coffee?
Because it starts all the way from the farm. Coffee is grown from the ground. Okay, the grounds have thousands of minerals. Then these minerals are actually transported all the way through the stems, to the branches, to the fruit.
Just like any other crop.
Exactly. That's it.
What doesn't coffee have? Because like Clifford, you've mentioned every mineral in coffee.
Man,
What doesn't it have?
I don't know. Me, I just say it's a meal.
It's really about a meal. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have tasted something like oatmeals, you know. Coffee is having all these components that Michael has mentioned. But one thing that I'm seeing is different from such crops or such plants like oats.
Yeah.
The oats expand. Coffee also expands, like if you pour in water.
Yes.
What creates that?
The expansion. When you're brewing it, I think when you pour in the coffee and then you pour in the water, that expansion I think comes as a result of the carbon dioxide gas being evaporated out. Yes. For oats, I may not go deep there.
Okay, for us we might not go deep in there, but one of the things we're going to talk about is like weight loss, which is associated with coffee. So I don't know if I'm right to apply that chronology of like this expansion that happens when you're brewing coffee. Also happens to me when I take coffee.
No, I totally don't think that is true. I don't think that is true. Yeah.
Okay, still talking about this coffee as a bean. It has a component called caffeine, right?
Sure.
What is caffeine to a normal person watching over there?
Woo!
Because it sounds like a complicated word. Caffeine.
Okay, let's look at caffeine. Caffeine is one of the strong compounds, we could say, that coffee has. because of its own uniqueness, its characters makes it extremely unique. Okay. Now, caffeine, scientifically, we call it 137 trimethylxanthine.
What's that?
It's
137.
It is a compound, of course. It is a compound. Now, these compounds are made from different elements, different structures. Okay. Did you remember what when we used to study? I think we studied something about the benzene ring. That was
in chemistry.
Chemistry, something like benzene ring. So those structures actually make up the caffeine with of course others like the carbon, like oxygen and all that. They make up that component of caffeine. So it's just a structure.
Does caffeine have like a local word to use?
A local name? I've never heard of that local name.
Caffeine.
It's just caffeine.
It's just caffeine.
Yeah,
Because
but scientifically, as we talked about it, it's 137 trimethylxanthine. Yes.
Because I really wanted us like to give it to this normal person who's watching at home, who hears the word caffeine and is like, okay, what's that?
I think we can just break it down to something that that when you take it, it hypes you up. It hypes you up. It gives you that motivation. It gives that feel that makes you like shout up, you get crazy, something of that sort. Maybe we can relate it to some of the energy drinks. Maybe people drink like Red Bull, these other. That when someone drinks it, that person actually feels much more better, feels much more energetic, feels.
Can we use stimulant?
Maybe you could talk about it as a stimulant.
Because it stimulates all your senses in your body.
It stimulates, yes. Yeah.
Let's talk about like the growing and harvesting or production of coffee. Like let's start from the stage of like drying, okay? Yes. Because this coffee, as you can see here, we just got the coffee grounds, infused them with water, and now we are drinking this coffee. So it means if I'm drying my coffee in a very, very poor, bad environment,
yes,
I'm going to drink all the germs, all the fungus, all the bacteria that is involved in this coffee during the drying process. Do you think that affects the coffee when we're making it, and how best can we dry this coffee?
Okay, I think now that goes to quality assurance kind of work, whereby we teach farmers that when you harvest, first of all, you harvest ripe cherries. When you start your processing, you follow the criteria of this processing. So when you start drying them, you don't dry them on ground. You can dry them on sheets or on tarpaulins, or if you have the capacity, you can make raised beds that you never dry these coffees on bare ground, because once you actually dry them on bare grounds, then there are instances that that this coffee is going to pick some of the earth flavors that we are going to test in this cup. Now, to make it worse, when we are drying them, when you don't dry them very well, then they will in a long run develop what we call toxins. Scientifically, in the coffee world, we normally call them the ochratoxin, especially ochratoxin A is one of the most common mycotoxin that really affects coffee greatly. That if coffee has a certain amount of the ochratoxin, sometimes when it is exported out, when these guys test those levels, when they're really very high, they send it back.
Wow.
So that is how serious that farmers need to be very critical in terms of different processing, in terms of drying, to ensure that they produce really quality coffee. Things like bacteria, they are very good bacteria, they are also harmful bacteria. So some of these bacteria can actually help us in process of fermentation, that we're able to actually get some of these attributes. You also know that inside your stomach, there are bacteria inside it.
Yes.
You see? Yeah, so, but the other side is more of a fungus. Fungus is very deadly, especially we have penicillin and aspergillus. Those are one of the most deadly fungus that cause ochratoxin.
Well, guys, I need to tell you that today's show is quite filled with a lot of words that are very complicated. So if you're watching us, don't get a dictionary, open up your phone, Mr. Google Sir can help you in case we mention some word that you don't understand. Michael is mentioning words that it's my first time to hear them in my ear.
But these are, of course, science names, but they're not really very complicated, you know.
Okay,
but as farmers should know, even we as consumers, we should know few things, so that we're always not left in the loop. Like,
and all these elements involved that we're talking about is what affects our health lifestyle.
Yes. Now, especially when it comes to that fungus, because now that fungus is actually related to, since it is a toxin, it is actually related to a cancerous kind of a way, you know, that when you consume it, there's a way it runs to the DNA and then it stabilizes the structure and all that. Then boom, cancer. Before we get into that, I need to remind you that we are streaming live on Facebook as House of Talent UG. You can go over there, look for our Facebook page, and then you can watch the show live. But also, you can follow us on our Twitter handle platform, that's at HTV1 Uganda, and the conversation is getting hot over there. You can engage with us on what you think about this coffee. Like, what do you feel when you drink coffee? How does it affect you? Has it had any health benefit on your side? You can go over there and share with us what you comment is, or what your feedback is about, like drinking coffee. Also, we're streaming live on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is known as House of Talent Uganda. You can go over there, subscribe and comment. Please don't forget to like that YouTube page so that you can watch us live as we're talking about coffee and health benefits of drinking coffee. Michael. Yes, brother.
Let's talk about the real essence related to health when you're drinking coffee. Some people say, if I drink coffee, I feel headache. But others say, if I drink coffee, I feel fine. My day is fine. What's the difference between the two? People.
Coffee, I don't know. People, there's a way people perceive everything so differently. Everything, I just don't get it. Me, when I drink it, it just keeps me, it keeps me really feeling so good. But now, when you look at some of the compounds that are in coffee, that actually what makes certain things happen or affect certain people, one of the compounds is still caffeine. You know, caffeine, as we said, it is a stimulant. We talked about it being a stimulant. Okay. Now, when you consume this coffee, studies say like 300 milligrams of caffeine per day is okay. That is like 3 to 5 cups a day. It's actually okay. So when you take that, of course, being a stimulant, it will get into the body, get into the stomach, then it is absorbed through the blood, then it flows all the way, and boom, all the regions that needs the caffeine, actually, it goes through the blood and then increases on the blood pressure. So you realize that when you actually take coffee, your heartbeat slightly skips a little bit. Not badly, but it slightly skips. You realize that when you take this coffee, the caffeine travels all the way through the neurons to the brain, and then it interacts with another structure called adenosine. So it attaches that adenosine, because we realize that adenosine is that neuroreceptor that causes drowsiness. Sometimes you feel like you are, like you're so weak, that kind of drowsiness. So what caffeine does, it comes. Now, this is how it's so interesting it is. Like the structure of caffeine and the structure of adenosine, they are almost like brothers and sisters. So what caffeine does, it goes and it attaches itself like this onto the receptor. It brings out its craziness. And that is why when people say, when I take coffee, I actually don't sleep. I be extremely awake like throughout the day. throughout the night, because the caffeine has actually came in and it has closed the other chapter. It is now the only one working.
Okay.
It's keeping you awake. The blood is moving slightly at a high rate. The heart is slightly skipping, but it's not a bad thing, you know.
It's not a bad thing. So, guys, as Michael has explained all the things, I want to see this caffeine go through my body, go through my neurons. Yeah. And let me take this, and I'll be right back after this break, and I'll tell you the experience, okay? Don't you go. Welcome back from that short commercial break. You're still watching House of Talent Television, and this is the Coffee Break Show with me, Amon Mukisa, with Micheal Wokorach, talking about the science of coffee and what are the health benefits of drinking coffee. Later on the show, shall be talking about the side effects of also taking coffee, because nothing is like only good. Something is good, but also has some effects when misused. But as I told you, we have a lot of comments that are coming on our Twitter platform. We are asked a question: what do you feel when you drink coffee, or do you believe everything they say about coffee, and what is your experience when you drink coffee? I have Simon Peter says, I personally believe that coffee is medicine. Michael, do you believe that coffee is medicine? Now
I need to see that guy. I'm going to give him a 250-gram coffee.
Simon Peter, just still looked on the show towards the end of the show. Michael has 250 grams of coffee for you. But also, Kim Coffee Roasters Uganda says, so someone was like saying that women get dry, and Kim was like, making them dry, it means dehydration is higher than hydration. Therefore, if someone experiences dryness here, the remedy just take 2 to 3 liters of water and the effects will go away. Michael, do you also believe that when women drink coffee, they get dry?
No, I don't believe only women. Even us.
Even
can
us.
get dry.
How do I get dry?
Because because as actually my brother explained, it has that dehydrating effect. It has that dehydrating effect, and then it also causes too much diuresis. Every time you take coffee, you feel like you want to go and urinate. You know, no, that is trying to dry out the fluid from your body.
Michael, doesn't it also happen when I take water, when I take juice, when I take a smoothie?
Yes.
I also feel like maybe easing out.
Yes, it happens.
So what's the difference between that? Because when I drink water, I also go the other side.
Yes.
When I take coffee, I also go the other side. So why do you say that it dehydrates me?
Of course it is going to dehydrate you because you're using it. You're using the body. The body is functioning. That's where you sweat. That's where not everything that you take is taken to the body. Others, of course, are going to be released out. So I wouldn't say like it is only for coffee. I think everything, but coffee has a very high dehydrating effect. I think because of some of the compounds that are in it.
Okay.
Yeah. Even tea, actually. Even
tea.
Yeah.
There are some research that say that tea has more caffeine than coffee. Is that true?
Yeah, they say tea has more caffeine than coffee. But in terms of production, it does. When the coffee is still, let me say, at the farm level, the caffeine is already high. When we start making the coffees or the teas here, the caffeine in the extraction of caffeine in coffee is more than the caffeine in tea. So in coffee we actually have more caffeine extracted when we're drinking, but tea has much caffeine, but its extraction towards when you're making this, when you're brewing it, no. Yeah, very minimal, I would say.
Let's go back to Peter's point of medicine. How is coffee a medicine?
It's a drug. We are still talking about the health benefits. Coffee has been, they have done over 80,000 studies, medical studies on coffee and health so far, and they've realized that coffee is actually having more health benefits than the disadvantages. Okay, so with that research, I think people can come up with conclusion that wow, this is a drug. Now, when we're still talking about coffee and health, we could jump in to a point of talking about coffee and cancer, and how does coffee and cancer related?
Because I've had a lot of people talk about that, like everyone who comes out and they're talking about healthy and coffee, they have an element of cancer right there. What's it with coffee and cancer?
Now, with coffee and cancer, because let's first talk about what is cancer. Cancers are just free radicals, the free radicals that normally come into the DNA system, the cellular DNA system, and then it destabilizes the DNA. You know, we're all made up through the DNA structure. Okay, so they come and then they disorganize, then they cause holes, and then they start getting out and all that. Sometimes we get all these free radicals through whatever we eat. Right now, we are eating a lot of junk. We're eating a lot of, let me say, chicken of 2 weeks. We are eating a lot of inorganic food, you know, and we are eating less of organic food. So we find out that some of these are chemicals. Some of them comes from radiations, these free radicals I'm talking about, that actually causes this cancer. So coffee has what we call the bioactive compounds that we talked about. The highest percentage is chlorogenic acid. Now, chlorogenic acid has the highest percentage, and it has the highest antioxidant activity and inflammatory activity as well. So when we consume this coffee, it gets into the body. What next? So when it gets into the body, the antioxidants are released out. So when they are released out, they go. What they do is they enter into through the blood DNA, the DNA, they try to neutralize that those harmful cells. They neutralize them. For instance, I think they even burst them, okay, so that they actually lower the risk. Because just imagine 1,000 cells have been released out, okay, and then when we take this coffee, 70 cells are busted out or are neutralized out. So which means they are actually trying to reduce the risk, but they don't cure. You get it?
They just reduce the risk of
They
getting
just
cancer.
reduce the risk of certain cancers, of course.
Not all cancers.
Not all cancers.
What are some of the cancers that are in specific that it reduces?
We could talk about colon cancer. We could talk about liver cancer. We talk about what did you say?
Is there something called like brain cancer?
Brain, of course, brain cancer. I haven't seen much research about brain cancer, but when you talk about liver, colon, mostly about it on the digestive, then prostate, all those things. Actually, yes.
And there has also been a research that shows that when pregnant women take coffee, they stand a chance of like having abortion. Is it true?
We talked about the minimum per day of coffee consumption. You know, when you consume 3 to 4 cups a day is actually okay. But just imagine you're consuming like 15 cups, 20 cups a day. Then that is too much.
That's too much.
That is too much.
That's a misuse of
That is a misuse.
the substance of the
Misuse.
coffee.
Now just imagine we're taking 3 cups or 2 cups or even this cup and we're excited. Now taking 10 cups, how do you think that will be? The excitement will be too much, but the activity of the caffeine will really be too much in the body. And remember, this pregnant mother is carrying a fetus in the stomach, and this fetus is really, how can I say, this fetus is very fragile to this caffeine. This baby cannot take in that much caffeine. Remember, when it is absorbed in the body, it also passes to the fetus, you know?
Because it goes through the bloodstream.
Everything. So sometimes it may affect, sometimes it can lead to abortion. I could accept that. But in higher percentage of consumption.
You see, I've had a lot of women who are friends tell me that doctor's recommendation is for me not to take coffee at all.
I could say if they are really not coffee lovers, I could say if you really been a coffee lover, you've been taking five cups a day, and you're a pregnant mother, maybe you can lower to 1.
Do you think they should?
Maybe you can dilute it with milk or something.
Because I was going to talk about the decaffeinated coffee. Should they stick to the decaf type of coffee? Yeah.
Decaf still has caffeine, but of course very minimal.
To the fact that it dissolves through the bloodstream and it goes away? Or very minimal that it stays into the bloodstream?
No, I'm talking about the now, let me give an example. If we are consuming 1 cup, which is roughly, let me say 90 milligrams per cup
of caffeine.
Of caffeine, we could be consuming that right now, okay? But a pregnant mother, when he's taking decaffeinated coffee, let me say he's consuming, let me say 5 milligrams, okay? 5 milligrams, I could say, because the reduction and the process that the decaffeination process has undergone through, researchers say there is not any process that has extracted out 100%
of caffeine.
So you find that they have extracted 96, 93. So you realize that the 7
is there.
It is still there. Yeah.
Okay. And also, let's talk about the point of like those who work out. I've gone through a lot of gyms. Okay, I really do work out, but I've gone through most of the gyms, just passing around, sometimes go with friends, work out a little bit. And there is a coffee station somewhere in a corner, in a gym.
Wow.
Do you think taking coffee before and after working out is important? Or is it advisable?
Oh,
Because remember, we talked about the caffeine, which is a stimulant.
Yeah.
So I assume if I take that coffee
Yeah.
and I'm going to work out, I'll be having that stimulation throughout my body. So is it advisable to take that coffee before I'm going to work out?
I think it is okay, because it's being really a natural drug. It is just a natural drug. Limitations to it is like when you consume it, it's too high. But when you consume, like when I go to a gym and they give me like 2 to 3 cups, it is okay for me. Because I'm going to consume it. Then I'm going to start doing exercise. The caffeine itself is going to help in keeping me going. Okay, so as it is keeping me going, what am I doing? I'm actually burning fat. Okay, because there is a stage where we also talk about coffee and diabetes. You know, it also lowers the risk of diabetes. These are obese people. Okay, we talk about especially type 2 diabetes mellitus, that is caused when the body is actually having too much sugars, too much blood sugars in the body, that it cannot actually be broken down. Now it is taken and converted to fat. People become really obese. You get. Now caffeine helps us burn that fat out. So I think that's a good thing, you know.
Well, this is a conversation that we cannot get enough time to exhaust, because Michael here is telling me that it's okay for someone to drink coffee when they're going to work out. But there are those people who have like higher energy levels, that the fact that when they just have a taste of coffee like this, they're like a whole tractor ready to rampage all over. So guys, you can get engaged with us on our social media platforms about this same topic. Like, what do you really think that are some of the health benefits, or what are the importances besides the health? I was talking to Mike and he told me that there's no any other importance apart from health, you know. So what do you think about the importance of taking coffee, and what are the effects on take coffee? Get to our social media platforms, that is at HTV1UG on Twitter, House of Talent Uganda on Facebook and YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to YouTube and you'll be able to watch the videos that we upload over there. Otherwise, we're gonna be taking that short commercial break and the coffee break right here. We'll be right back.
So I used to love the way our barista used to present his cups.
Yeah.
For example, one day he presented some nice coffee. It was a cappuccino, very nice, presented. And I asked him, you know, how do you make this? He said, you go to a school and study.
Yeah.
So I used to love the passion he had. So I said one day I should learn this. So I kept on serving his orders. But I found out that most of the orders were according to the way he was feeling. You know, baristas present their cups according to the way they are feeling, according to the mood. In case he left home when he's sad, he's not happy, you will see the results in the cup. But when you see something beautiful, just know he's so happy.
Yeah.
So the passion he had and the love he used to put in the cup really encouraged me to join the school. Not until I got to learn about Isaac at the Pro Plus.
Yeah.
Then I came with some of my friends, so we are now doing that course.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. My name is Amon Mukisa, and we're still here on the Coffee Break Show with Micheal Wokorach talking about coffee and health. Before we went to a break, Micheal was telling me about the issue of working out in a gym and how it's okay for someone to drink coffee before they can go and work out. He never talked to us about whether it's okay to drink coffee after working out. Is that okay?
That's still okay.
That's still okay?
Yeah.
How about the issue of, many people here talk about this, only doctors, nurses, and specialists talk about it.
Which issue is that?
That's, if someone drinks coffee, like a guy, is going to be up there in bed. Is that true?
Okay. Now let me give a little bit of advice. It works, but it doesn't
Mike,
work.
hold on. Look through that camera over there and tell us.
It works. It works, but it doesn't work with sugar.
Okay, if you drink coffee with sugar,
Yes,
it doesn't work.
it does never work.
My God, Tony, aren't you giving us advice of taking coffee without sugar?
Take it without sugar, and you call me the next day. I will be in position to answer that query. You know.
Well, guys, you're watching House of Talent Television, and this is the Coffee Break Show on House of Talent. My name is Amon Mukisa. I can remind you that, please, if you want to watch this show, go on your YouTube channel, that's House of Talent Television. You'll be able to catch this show right over. Don't forget to subscribe as you're watching these brilliant episodes. But also, you can follow us on Facebook, that's House of Talent Uganda on Facebook, and also Twitter. You can follow me up. You can follow us up on Twitter, that's HTV1. Okay, you can also follow me up as Amon Mukisa. All right, Michael. There are a lot of coffee mints over there. I'm going to read a few of them here, and you'll be able to tell us whether that's true or false.
Okay.
One is coffee. All coffee has the same amount of caffeine. Is that true or false?
That's not true, because there are factors that varies this from the brewing, from time of brewing, the equipment that you are using, all that has an effect on the caffeine, like bringing it out. You understand? So when you look at black coffee, it may not be having the same composition like in a cappuccino or a latte. You get. So I wouldn't say that's the same. Different coffees still. When you look at the two species that we have in Uganda, Robusta coffee tend to have higher caffeine than Arabica coffee. So still that's not the same.
That's not the same.
If I make coffee from Robusta and I make coffee from Arabica, we won't still perceive the same caffeine.
Okay. The other myth is coffee is highly addictive. Is it true?
No.
So I wouldn't wake up in the morning, each morning, and I'm like, I need a cup of coffee before I start my day. I
have been in a place. I love coffee. I've been in a place in the village where I was there for over a week. Okay. And I wasn't taking coffee. I didn't even take anything like coffee, but I was fine. Now, when we discuss anything related to addictiveness, is something that you can't really live without, you know. Now, let me give an example of of cigarette, you know, the nicotine in it is very addictive. That when someone bees a day without taking this, you find them when they're shivering, when they are like, they really want to smoke, you know. But me, if you leave me, just even you, if you have to go to the village and we're just going there, we have nothing, we can leave. So anything related to addictiveness for coffee, scientifically it is not proven.
Maybe the one last one, because there are a lot of mints out there, a lot of them. But one last one, and this is very funny for me. It says coffee stunts your growth. How true is that?
I think that's a myth. I don't agree, because it would be short.
But
like really, we would be really very short. Some of us, you know. But I don't think that's true.
You're like saying those short people did take coffee maybe in the morning. I mean, at their early age, and that's why they're short.
That is genetical.
That's genetical, not related to coffee.
It is not related to coffee. How is coffee impacting my DNA anyway?
Man, it goes through my bloodstream.
Yeah, it goes through
everywhere.
Yes, but how is it really related to? I don't think that science is still.
It's not real.
For me, I say this is a myth.
Well, this is the Coffee Break Show for you. We debunk and tell you what is right and what is wrong. And you'll be able to only know that if you're watching the Coffee Break Show. Michael, you know, over the seas, I'm talking about the diaspora countries, UK, US, all those countries, Arab countries.
Yeah.
These guys take a lot of coffee.
A lot.
Too much coffee.
A lot.
And when we come down here to Uganda, we take, our domestic consumption of coffee is very, very bit low.
I think
compared to those countries.
I think our domestic consumption right now stands at around 6.5%.
Okay, so why don't we have a culture of taking coffee like those people, and those people don't complain so much about all the things we talked about the show.
Yeah.
But for us here, we're still complaining about it. Why don't we have that culture of drinking coffee the way it is?
I think it gets back to the culture, the background, I think, where the old coffee originated. You know, back in the 18th century, when the Europeans had that World War II, then they had to enforce Africa to come and grow these cash crops for them to actually build the economy. You know, when that happened, our forefathers and mothers were really left with, I don't know, we are left like, all these things are going the other side. Maybe because I have a feeling that they could have said that these things are used to make A, B, C, D, okay? They took them the other side. So up to now, we are still living in this myth of our foremothers saying, when I take coffee, girls don't take coffee, girls don't do this, girls don't do this. You can even look at in the old tradition, whereby women were not allowed to eat like chicken. You cook it for your husband. See? So all these kind of myths are still trending, especially with low level of education. People are not exposed. When you ask a girl, any girl, like, let's go for a cup of coffee. Me, I don't take coffee. Like, why don't you take coffee? It's like, I just don't. Like, give me a reason. My mother told me. So even her mother told her, even her mother also, her grandmother told her. So the story keeps it's like that. There is nothing, you see. Because now when you look at the comparison on this guy is consuming very high coffee, okay? When you look at the diseases that these people are really suffering from, and then you look at the diseases we are really suffering from, you realize that really coffee is really a very good thing, you see. Here we are suffering with a lot of diabetes, a lot of cancer. Let's look at the white world. I don't think that is really too much.
Yeah.
Okay. But because of this kind of myth with for our parents and all that, but we are trying to spread the gospel. We are trying to. People are coming to learn as we are here.
That's the Coffee Break Show here, right here, because we want to demystify such things that people are thinking. Yeah. Let's talk about the issue of like side effects of taking coffee. Like I said before earlier on in the show, that each and every element on earth has a good side and a bad side. So, what are some of the side effects of taking coffee?
Okay, we talked about 3 milligrams being like an average of 400 milligrams or 300 milligrams being like an average consumption per day. But then beyond that is actually too much. Coffee becomes toxic in the body. It reaches a point whereby some people don't sleep. Insomnia or restlessness, you know, because the caffeine is too much. It is actively keeping you
awake.
That you're being kept awake. You understand? The body is not really used to that. You see, so I feel that causes insomnia. But if you don't take coffee, you get back to normal. But if insomnia comes in another version, then it becomes another disease. You don't blame it on coffee.
Don't blame it on coffee. Because I've read through a lot of researches, and they're like, for you to avoid this insomnia, you have to like make sure that you take coffee before the hour of 3. Like if you take coffee past the hour of 3, 4, 5, and you always sleep at around 8, that coffee is not going to be dissolved through your body bloodstream. It will be still there. That's why you still keep awake up to the hour of 10 or midnight. So if you want to solve this, make sure that you take coffee in the morning, earlier like at midnight, midday, so that it's used.
I think that's okay.
Yeah. So what is the other thing that if someone takes coffee is born to have?
I think the other thing is abortion. We earlier talked about it with pregnant mothers. Because this caffeine is very strong when it goes direct to the fetus. It actually sometimes kills the baby or causes a lot of issues within the umbilical cord and all that. Then some of the other things we could talk about could be children. I think children below the age of 7 should actually, because they're also highly sensitive to caffeine, they shouldn't actually also consume caffeine in very, very high numbers. Yeah, I think that is it.
Well, how about about taking coffee when you're going like to, yes, we talked about like working out, but when you take coffee, for example, when you're going to like a football match, how does it affect you?
Being a stimulant, as caffeine names it, it will just increase on the rate of everything. You know, it will actually increase on your performance. I think that is what you really need.
How about these ones who take coffee without eating anything? How badly does it affect them?
It causes drowsiness.
Drowsiness.
Yeah. Because of the caffeine, because remember it is using a lot of energy. It is using a lot of energy to make you do a lot of things. Blood is moving at a very high pressure. Everything in the body is just hyped up. So when that happens, then the body will demand for more food, like real food, to be digested, for you to get the energy that is supposed to be converted to all this. So I feel that is what normally happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does coffee also has an element of alcohol in it? Like, do those two mix?
Like mixing coffee and alcohol?
If you drink, for example, I have a cup of alcohol here, and I have a cup of coffee over there, and I'm drinking all of them at the same time.
Now we're having coffee cocktails. We mix coffee cocktails, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic cocktails, you know, with coffee and alcohol.
So they don't really matter whether you're doing them at the same time. They don't affect you in any way.
Maybe just like hyping you up, I don't know. Because the alcoholic content could be, depends on actually the brands of the alcohol you're using, you know. Yeah.
All right, Micheal. Micheal is here on the Coffee Break Show trying to give us all the details that are related to drinking coffee. What are the health benefits of taking coffee? What are some of the side effects of taking coffee? Because I must tell you that each time I wake up early in the morning, if I wake up at 7, at 8, I must have my cup of coffee. By me, I make it wise. That if I drink a cup of coffee now and it's done, I have my bottle of water right over there. So I can take as many cups that I want every day. Okay?
Don't exceed 500 milligrams.
Okay, as much as I want, I can say 5.
That's okay.
Yeah, 5. I can take those.
Yeah.
So if you're out there also and you want to drink coffee, you feel like coffee is your thing, please make sure that you have your cup of coffee right here and maybe your bottle of water over there. Okay, Michael.
Yes,
What last words do you have to tell to our viewers over there? I think you can look through that camera over there, and then you can be able to...
I think to our viewers, I tell you that coffee is medicine, coffee is a drug, it's a healthy drug, right? So please consume it wisely. Don't consume more than 10 cups a day. It becomes toxic in the body. And also people who are new, start slowly. Along the way, you'll gain and get the zeal to actually drinking coffee. Coffee is not addictive. None of anyone should actually lie to you that coffee is addictive. It is not addictive. It is just a drink we drink. Yeah, we love coffee. That's all. That's all I can say.
Thank you, Michael, for coming through on the Coffee Break Show. Make House of Talent your home each and every day you want to pass by.
Thank you
and give
so
us such
much.
good information.
I am so delighted. This coffee is amazing.
Thank you, Michael. Well, guys, you've been watching the Coffee Break Show on House of Talent Television. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. This video right here, if you've missed this stream on our live streaming, please go on our YouTube channel. You'll find it over there as House of Talent Uganda. I would like to shout out to some of the people who've been watching the show. Kim Roasters Coffee has been watching the show. Simon Peter has been watching the show, and many of you have been watching the show. But also Edo Killer has been on the show. Edo Killer promised to ask us a question. Michael, I had a question for you, but he has not posted it. I think he will DM you and he'll be able to ask you that question.
No problem.
But from me and my entire crew, that's Amon on camera today, Isma on the decks, I would like to say have a blessed weekend. Bye-bye.